welcome back. It's Sunday and it's time to go through the 12-pound barrel. Just a little update on some of the things we've been working on. I've got the rocks for the rock tumbling contest. I trimmed them up on the saw and I'm thinking they're all ready to go into the tumbler, so we're going to be getting those in the tumbler barrel today. And we also got our kaleidoscope jasper cut up, and that'll be going into a barrel pretty quick, so it won't be long. Well, it usually takes quite a while before the videos are done and ready to go, but they're getting started, so we'll get that process going on those, and hopefully they'll all turn out nice. So I've got good feelings on our barrel, our 12-pound barrel this week, because there's a lot of stuff last week that was really close with the Botswanas and the Bahia agates, so we'll see. Hopefully there's a bunch done this week, ready to move to the next stage at least, I mean. Same as always, pretty much. A lot of Botswanas and Bahias and the zebra jasper, and I see a little bit of green aventurine in there and some red jasper, all kinds of stuff. I've seen our thunder egg there, and our geodes in there yet, so we'll see how those are looking. They haven't really changed a ton in the last couple of weeks, but eventually we'll get to a point. Oh yeah, the geode's really coming down. We'll have to take a closer look at that. We got a load done in the Lotto tumbler today, and that's got a lot of chert and some other things that we've been tumbling in the 12-pound barrel, so we should have the video out for that on Wednesday. A lot of different stuff in that batch. A lot of stuff turned out really nice. And there's the last of it. So I'll go through those and we'll see what's ready to move to the next stage. We'll take a look at that. I've already got one thing that I've decided is going to go into this barrel to fill the space of what we took out and what shrank, so I've got that picked out already, something different that we haven't been tumbling yet, so we'll go through them and we'll come back and take a look at some of that. So the clean out this week wasn't as good as I hoped, but we got some pretty decent stuff out of it. Some of it is pretty much perfect, and there's a couple other things that I feel like they're just going to start getting smaller and not getting any better, possibly getting worse, so I'm going to pull them out because they've got nice pattern to them. So I don't think they'll get wrecked or anything else, get worse in the vibratory, but if I roll them any longer in the rotary, they may possibly just get worse before they get better, so we're going to pull them out. And then I've also got the thunder egg and the geode sitting here, and we'll take a closer look at that. But we'll take a closer look at a few of these that are ready to move on to the next stage. We'll start with some of the Bahia agates. This one's looking really nice. It's got some fractures in it there that are like healed, because you can't feel those. You can feel that little ledge right there, but from experience, when you start trying to get a layer like that, when it's got like a fracture in between the layers, as this gets thinner on the edge, it just keeps chipping like that. So you'll never get rid of it unless we get rid of all that. So I like the colors and the design basically just the layer colored, so we're just going to move it on because everything else looks really good. It's nice and smooth on the top and the bottom, so that one's looking good. Here's another Bahia. This one's got some really cool layers on it, cool lines. And it's looking really nice. So that one will move on to the next stage. This one has got, like I was saying before, like this has got some fractures in the top there, and that's just going to keep on chipping away. And I don't want to lose all that pattern on the top. And I really like the quartz pocket in this one with all the bands. And you can see that the quartz is a little softer and it's wearing away. And there's that line right there. We're just going to keep chipping until I would tumble all that off. And I would lose all the cool stuff about this rock. So that's one of those flaws that I'm just going to be willing to live with, because it's got those awesome bands around that quartz. I really like that. That's cool. So that one's moving on. This is another one of the Bahia. It's got some bands in it there, and then some red, and then that quartz going around it. Just really cool. I like that one a lot. And then you can see the quartz on this side also with some bands around the outside. But this fracture right here, you can feel it, but you can see how it goes down into the rock. I would have to get rid of all of that, and it would be a lot smaller, and I might lose the agate around the outside of the quartz on this one. So I really like this side where you can see the quartz, the red, and then some of the bands. So that one's really cool. So that one's moving on. Here's another one that's got some cool quartz in it. It's kind of got some, I don't know if it's iron staining or whatever makes it yellow. And then it's got some pretty awesome eyes on the back. And all that quartz. So that's another really nice one. A couple of fractures that I'm not going to be able to get rid of. It's just going to get worse before it gets better, and it's going to do nothing but get small. So we'll just keep it as it is. And another Bahia with some cool, just a little bit different shape with the quartz. You can see that there's a little agate that was in the middle of the quartz, and then quartz all the way around. And then agate on the back side. Got a couple eyes on the back there. That one's looking pretty good. This one's really neat. Those eyes are just really cool on that one. This side's not too exciting. There's a few back there. But it's a good looking agate. This is a fairly boring Bahia agate, and it was boring on the outside, so I cut it. And it was pretty boring on the inside too. There's not much going on there. It's got a few little things here and there, but it's never going to be anything terrible exciting, so we're just going to move it on. Here's this one in person. Looks a little pinker. It looks orange, more orange on the camera, but it's looking pretty nice. Let's see. There's a really white one. Not a lot of excitement going on there, but you can see some faint layers in it. And I think that that's all of the Bahia agates. And then we've got a couple of Botswanas that we're moving on this week. That one's got a really cool pattern on it there. It does have the fracture in it right there, but it would take a long time to get rid of all of that. And it's smooth. You can't feel it. You can just see it in the transparency of the agate. So with that pattern on it, I'm going to move it on. Because that's the important part. That's the part that looks really nice. So that one's going. And then this is the only other Botswana that we have. It's got some eyes on the back side here. And then it's got a pretty cool little pattern here. If I remember right, we looked at this one last week, and there was a little fracture in it right there that when it dried, you could really see it. And when it was wet, you couldn't see it as much. And this week, it's pretty well gone. So we're ready to move that one on. That one, well, you might be able to see my finger a little bit in the transparency of it because it's not real thick, but that one's cool. I like all those eyes. And other than that, we've got a couple of pieces of desert jasper. There's one piece of green aventurine and a few pieces of red jasper. So all those are moving on, and then we'll take a look at our thunder egg here quick. It just keeps whittling down. You can kind of see some moss in it right there. You're getting bigger veins of the agate that we can see, and the host rock, whatever it is, I believe it's rhyolite, is getting a little smoother, and we're removing some of it. This side still looks about the same. Nice layer of agate on it. So we're just going to keep tumbling it. I can see right here, if you've cut or seen me cut thunder eggs or anybody else cut thunder eggs, a lot of times if you cut them right, you can see that white layer. And you can see it kind of starting to show right there. So I'm hoping that we can expose some more cool stuff on the inside. So I'm not sure what it'll ever turn into, but we're just going to keep rolling with it. And if it never turns into anything, well, then we'll know what happens when you tumble a basically full thunder egg. And then the geode, it's still hollow. There's nothing in it, but you're really getting to see a lot of the quartz now. We're removing a lot of the host rock. It's gotten pretty small. But we're going to keep rolling with it again just to see what happens when you keep tumbling it. Looks like you can see some fractures in it right there. Well, I can't feel those. I can feel these ones though, but it's looking pretty neat. So we'll go ahead and get everything loaded back up, and I think I've got figured out what we're going to use to fill the barrel this week. I don't know how much room we have, but the thunder egg and the geode will go back in, and all that other stuff that we looked at is ready to move on to the next stage. So we'll get everything set back up. So another thing I was going to say is that after having some of that zebra jasper in there for the last few weeks and looking at it pretty close here, I'm starting to think that zebra jasper is going to have a lot of voids and pinholes and stuff all the way through it in some of the brown material, at least the stuff that I have. So I've got a feeling that it's going to be the kind of thing that I don't really care to tumble as much because I'd really rather get most of the flaws out. And from what I'm seeing on it, a lot of the stuff that I got is really, really thin, so it's going to wear away to nothing. And there's just a lot of imperfections in it. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes, though. We're going to keep trying. So we've got our thunder egg and our geode are ready to go back in. Everything else is back in. And this week I've been tumbling this Mozambique agate in one of my 3-pound barrels for about, I had 5 pounds of it, and I've been going for about 2.5 months. And this is what I have left. And a lot of this is getting close. And I've got some of it done, but we're going to use this to fill the 12-pound barrel and start rolling it here because I want to open up my other 3-pound barrel for my Rocks for the Feather River Lapidary Club rock tumbling contest. So I'm ready to get those rolling, and I want to keep those in a separate barrel so I don't get them mixed up with anything else. So we're going to use this to fill the barrel this week, and we'll probably use some more next week. Maybe some of it will get done. It seems like the rocks grind a little faster in coarse grade on the 12-pound barrel because there's more weight in there. Seems like the process is a little slower in the 3-pound. Let's see. I feel like the barrel was a little bit lower this week than what I normally do in material. So I took some out, and I'm going to go with that. Get rid of a little water. Just a little more. So there's all of the material in there. We've got a few more left to put in next week. Not too many. They'll fit in there next week for sure. We've got our 14 tablespoons of our 4670 silicon carbide. And we will get that back on and roll it for another week and see how it looks next Sunday. So thanks for watching.